and more through the life of gym owners and gym goers. It's Fitness Fanatics from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
It's time for Bonsall Pool and Spa's Truckload event. From September 23rd through the 27th, stop by Bonsall Pool and Spa at 3201 Pioneers Boulevard to see an actual truck full of hot tubs with special prices. You'll save up to $3,000 on all hot tubs and swim spas, as well as $1,500 on all saunas and cold plunges. Use Nebraska football's bye week well by stopping in on September 27th for refreshments and giveaways. That's Bonsall Pool and Spa at 3201 Pioneers Boulevard in Lincoln.
This is how we do every day. We be grinding, and if you want to come and text us,
if you love them enough to turn off your music and pretend like their music is your music.
This is Mommy's jam.
Then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
Let's play it again.
Check today at nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Pastor Tom. Did you know there's a place kids can seek out help when they're away from home and something goes wrong? They find themselves in a difficult spot or even a dangerous situation. Maybe another child is bullying them or a stranger is following them. Perhaps on a date and things just go bad. In Lincoln, here's where they can find help. It's called Safe Place. Safe Place is a national program for children taking place in thousands of cities across the United States. The People Seeding Mission is sponsoring this program in our community and has set up a number of businesses, fire stations, schools, and nonprofits around the city to become safe locations where kids can seek out help. They just need to look for the big yellow sign that says Safe Place on it. Then go inside and ask for help. We will be quickly connected to them and ensure they make it back home or to whatever resources are needed. If you'd like to find out more about Safe Place and ways in which you can get involved, just go to pcmlincoln.org. Remember, when we all do a little, we change a lot.
Fall is here, and so are cooler temps, darker evenings, and slick roads. Is your vehicle ready for the change in seasons? At A1 Automotive, we've got you covered. From tire checks, brake inspections, batteries, and heater systems, we make sure your car is road ready for the Nebraska winters ahead. Don't wait until the first frost. Schedule your fall car care checkup today and drive with confidence all season long. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
Hey guys, it's Nick. We had a great week 1 high school football matchup where Lincoln North Star got the 14-10 win over Lincoln Southwest, but now it's time to turn our attention to one of the best rivalries in Nebraska. This Friday at 8 p.m., join me and Jay Foreman for Lincoln Southeast versus Lincoln Southwest. Southeast is coming in off of a dominating 30-0 win versus Grand Island, while the Silverhawks look to get their first win of the 2025 season. Kickoff is slated for 8 p.m. from Seacrest Field, with pregame coverage beginning at 7:45. Join me and Jay Foreman this Friday night for Lincoln Southeast versus Lincoln Southwest, right here on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
MWR is dedicated to building attractive, affordable steel buildings that exceed your expectations. From commercial to residential to agriculture storage, steel buildings are cost-effective, attractive, and versatile. Plus, they're a lasting investment and an ideal choice. MWR uses Sentinel Building Systems out of Albion and can service you all over the state and region. If you have interest in a steel building, post-frame building, or fencing, give MWR a call today at 402-980-5273 or go to mwrbuildingandfence.com.
With UBT, you've got total control over your money. Like Doug, who runs his game day tailgate like a well-oiled machine.
I got burgers, brats, chicken, dogs, plus all the fixins. And with the UBT Go app, I can track my food spending from anywhere.
Pro move.
They don't call me Grill Sergeant for nothing.
No matter your goals, UBT helps you feel good about reaching them. Union Bank and Trust, member FDIC.
Sometimes I just cannot believe all the storms we've gone through here. I can only hope that we'll be able to leave this house to you one day, baby. You're our legacy.
Planning for these disasters will make sure we're safe, and is the best way to protect that legacy.
Protect your legacy. Visit ready.gov/plan for the tools and tips you need to start your emergency preparedness plan today. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Follow the Huskers to the City of Angels when Nebraska plays at UCLA in November. Book your official Nebraska alumni travel package at huskerfantravel.com. Choose from 2 or 3 night options that include a hotel in scenic Santa Monica, an exclusive welcome event, game day transportation, and the official Husker Huddle pregame party. Add on your game tickets for an optional upgrade. Transportation to and from LA is not included. Join the official Nebraska alumni trip to see the Huskers play at UCLA. Spots are limited, so book your trip now at HuskerFanTravel.com.
Hi, this is Pastor Tom. Did you know there's a place kids can seek out help when they're away from home and something goes wrong? They find themselves in a difficult spot or even a dangerous situation. Maybe another child is bullying them or a stranger is following them. Perhaps on a date and things just go bad. In Lincoln, here's where they can find help. It's called Safe Place. Safe Place is a national program for children taking place in thousands of cities across the United States. The People City Mission is sponsoring this program in our community and has set up a number of businesses, fire stations, schools, and nonprofits around the city to become safe locations where kids can seek out help. They just need to look for the big yellow sign that says Safe Place on it. Then go inside and ask for help. We will be quickly connected to them and ensure they make it back home or to whatever resources are needed. If you'd like to find out more about Safe Place and ways in which you can get involved, just go to pcmlincoln.org. Remember, when we all do a little, we change a lot.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. Live from the heart of Lincoln, America. Welcome to Ticket Weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome in to Ticket Weeknights. Harrison Arns, the ones and twos. We do got Royals coming up later. That one not until 8 o'clock, though, as they are winding down the stretch of their regular season. And I'm not entirely sure if it's 0, but if not 0, probably pretty close to it. Kansas City Royals chance for some playoff baseball, but at least they'll get to hear their last few games. And on a super rare long shot, crazier things may have happened, maybe postseason. But like I said, I haven't looked at the numbers recently, but it's got to be a 0.0% percentage is what I'm thinking. If you guys want to join in, though, as we are solo here all the way up until this volleyball game wraps up, we do have another volleyball post-game show coming up later. The Nebraska Cornhuskers won the first 2 sets. Just to give you guys your rundown of what is going on here for Nebraska volleyball. Again, they had Michigan coming down here to Lincoln. Both teams opening up Big Ten play with this game. And Nebraska won the first set 25-22. Nebraska dominates the second set 25-10. And right now in the third set, as Nebraska's trying to pull off a sweep here, they are leading it by not anymore, 8-8 in the first set. Some of the performers right now: Harper Murray, 9 kills, a couple of errors, hitting at about 37%. Adriana Virginia, she's got 8 kills. Andy Jackson's got 8 kills. Rebecca Alex got 6. Bergen Riley with 5. Taylor Landfair with 2. And that pretty much sums up who's doing the damage for Nebraska. Bergen Riley with 24 assists as well. So right now, that's kind of what's shaping out. And again, 9-8 now. Nebraska's leading. I'll let you know as soon as that one hits 0, or I should say at least a little bit around when we get to the end there, we will have that post-game show, I'd imagine, for at least an hour and a half. And then anything after that point, I'll just hop on myself. Maybe we can get Chris Raff to call in potentially. Me and him can do a little bit of ticket wrap up before we send everyone off for the night. But again, great start. Nebraska volleyball is 10-0, looking for their 11th win and also staying undefeated in doing so. Michigan, Erin Virtue, 3rd year under her over there at the Michigan Wolverines, and has been pretty okay throughout the start so far. This has been a good start for Michigan, though. Like I said, they were 10-1 heading in. Given their non-con slate hasn't been super impressive, and I don't mean that as a slight. It's just more of the fact that, like, when you look at Nebraska's non-con, you get a number 3 Pitt into a number 6 Stanford, into a number 7 Kentucky, into a number 22 Utah, into a number 18 Creighton. So that is one 2, 3, 4, 5 ranked teams. And 3 of those 5 ranked teams being within the top 10, that's a lot. That's a lot of competition that you're openly inviting in early in the season. And at the bright side, you'll get battle tested. And on even the better side, you manage to survive it and stay undefeated. So Busby McKelly, first year, doing a great job of really just keeping the train rolling along the tracks here. Because again, those guys looking dominant, leading 12-8 now is what it looks like. All right, we'll stop talking about the volleyball game. As I mentioned, we're going to cover that pretty extensively for an hour and a half once we get to the post-game show. And you guys are always welcome to join in. 402-464-5685 is the starter Heyman text line. What I want to do is actually talk some college football ahead of time. So we're not going to get to Mornay. We're not going to get all of Chris Raff. So in doing so, we're going to miss most of what would be our NFL/college football conversations. And we do got Royals taking over at 9 o'clock, or excuse me, at 8 o'clock again as well. So down the ticket app, especially if you want that post-game show or just watching any of the streams. But I will be solo on the brick and mortar, at least for another hour. All right. Games coming up this week that maybe you want to pay attention to. 21 versus 23, UNC versus Illinois. Illinois just got manhandled by Indiana. Let me double check the score. I think it was 56 to even worse than I imagined, 63-10. The Fighting Illini fall to the Indiana Hoosiers. And in that game, it never felt close. It wasn't like it was a close first half and then Indiana just went nuclear in the second. They were just dominant the entire time, and Illinois even got worse as the game went on. Indiana scored 14 points in every single quarter, except for the second quarter, where they scored 21 points. Illinois didn't score any points in the second half. They got all 10 of their points in that first half, which is troubling knowing that at that point you're playing against Indiana's backups and you're not really doing any much more with it. Altmaier in that game, he wasn't really too much of the problem. 14 for 22, and Mendoza for Indiana, 21 for 23, 5 touchdowns. Mendoza's dangerous. He's going to be a problem. Their running back, Martin, solid as well, 107 yards with just 12 carries and a couple of rushing touchdowns. And on the flip side of things, if you go look at what USC's doing, also been impressive really at that quarterback spot. But Missouri State, they win that one 73-13. They go on to roll over Georgia Southern, beat Purdue in what was a little bit of maybe a shocker. I know the score was 33-17, but what Barry Odom's doing there at Purdue, I think it's been pretty impressive. Yeah, they had one guy coming back by the name of Mockabee. The only player coming back that had actually some starting time. I should verify that. That actually played on the field, that actually participated to helping Purdue the year prior. Mockabee was the only guy back, and he was at that running back position. They feels like they're doing a lot more with less. You compare that to what has happened with Luke Fickell when he took over, doing less with what arguably is more. You do what, even a school like UCLA, you're doing less with more, and to the point where you fire Deshaun Foster super early in the season, that go ahead and maybe it allows you to start doing the coaching search earlier than others to get the beat on it. The problem with that is, though, is I don't know how worth it is to have a coach not present who can't recruit for you, even though, like, if there's a deal where he knows he's going to be gone at the end of the year, you let him coach out, you let him stay with the guys. Obviously, maybe don't tell him that, but you keep it in the back of your head at the very least. And now you're going to sit there with no head coach. And especially in a case like Oklahoma State, theirs is probably a more lucrative venue than what UCLA would be. So if you're UCLA, you got to find a pretty unproven guy, I would think. There's not names floating out there that I think UCLA would jump on or that would fit their culture. I talked about it with Raph yesterday. I don't think, Gruden's going to the college game anytime soon. I think he's purely wants to go to the NFL. Bill Belichick was a bit of an anomaly. Maybe Dana Holgerson. But again, I think if anybody had the best chance to get a decent coach, it probably is Oklahoma State, because they do still have a really good, solid base. The last 2 years have been bad, and maybe it's enough to fire Gundy over But to me, it's not enough to, really ruin the perception of what Oklahoma State is. I mean, Mike Gundy, a couple bad years in a row. He never really had any major wins. He's got some great bowl game wins, nothing ever super major. I'm not super upset with Oklahoma State for firing him. But again, it's just kind of early in the year. And the way it read off to me how Oklahoma State fired Gundy and based how awkward of a presser it was from the AD, felt like they wanted to acknowledge that it was going to be his last year. And they maybe wanted some sort of farewell tour. And Mike Gundy's kind of always said it, like he's not going to quit on that team. You have to fire him. Well, I think that's what happened. I think they're a little bit surprised to see him, and they shouldn't have been, but really commit to, like, I'm just not going to ever quit on this thing. He's been attached to it for, like the better part of 30 plus years. You can probably go more, as the player as well. Yeah, I don't know if you're him today, what are you doing? Are you even showing up to the office and then grab your stuff? And then after that, I mean, kind of got the whole day. So very interesting. I was listening to Austin and Nick on the way here talking about Dabo Sweeney. How close is he to that same category? Nowhere near. Not for me anyways. I mean, he got you to the playoffs last year. It wasn't super promising, but nonetheless, he found a way to do it. This year's been bad. He's got to really rack up, I think, a few more bad years in a row before I am anywhere near touching his contract or flirting the idea of firing. We can all admit that it has been great, and Clemson's expectations have been severely blown up because they don't look anywhere close to what everyone was saying in the offseason. Like when you're looking at the ACC, they could have a point where they start turning around and winning a bunch of games, but I don't think anybody's scared of them. And you look at the games they've been in, I don't think you really need to be. Other than that, I think, for the major, there's one more Power 4 school I know I'm missing. It's lost their head coach as well. But there's not a whole lot of coaches out there that I don't think are going to be super eager right now, because even if you can go get Dana Holgorsen, we'll just use him as an example. And again, I'm not saying that people are in communications with Holgorsen to take a new head coaching gig, but it's kind of hard to pull that stuff off this early in the year when he's got to coach a season. He's still worried about Nebraska, or, we can use another guy, Tony White. Tony White is going to get a head coaching gig. I think he probably could have pushed for one after Nebraska. So him going to Florida State, kind of get it. But he's good enough to where, he'll get a coaching gig as well. So if the move is to go get one of those guys, you're contacting them in like week 4 of the season. Well, I guess week 5 now, but you're contacting these people so early that it's going to be hard to have any sort of that communication and just to do it, legally or keep it not awkward. You saw that with UCF, Scott Frost in Nebraska. Nebraska's regular season was done. I believe that might have been the year we beat Iowa, 2018. No, I don't think we did. Yeah, 2018, I don't think we did. But nonetheless, you're getting the Scott Frost really awkward about it, not happy about how the media is coming up to him, talking about it immediately after a UCF win. And then as soon as he beat Auburn, with UCF that first time go around, they just immediately went up to him. They want to ask about Nebraska. It was really awkward. And we didn't know about that until like the very end. It took a long time late in the season for us to even realize that, oh my gosh, they're going to hire Scott Frost. And I say, oh my gosh, because at the time, unless you are the 0.01%, everyone was happy. There wasn't very many people that expected it to go as south as it did. And it's all the more irony that he's back over there at UCF and he's 4-0. It just, comes to Nebraska, forgets how to win, goes back to UCF, and he's 4-0. Congratulations to him. It's not like I really have any animosity towards the UCF players and want those guys to lose because Scott Frost is their head coach. It's just a little bit ironic that, of course, he's finding success over there when success was nowhere to be found when he was here at Nebraska. But we got Matt Rule, so I digress. That game, I went in a full circle here, just kind of talking about coaches and everything else. But I really started with 21 USC and number 23 Illinois. It's one of those big games to watch. I think early Illinois has got a lot to prove after getting blown out. USC has just been a solid start, 4-0. Michigan State tested them a little bit more than maybe some people were anticipating, but they still came out pretty solid. Tickets to that game, it is at Illinois. The Fighting Illini, a little bit down bad, I think, after taking a brutal beating. So tickets are only $40 to go watch a top 25 match to rank up. You do got another Big Ten matchup in Rutgers at Minnesota. Minnesota favored. It is 11 a.m. game, so very sleepy Minnesota game. Tickets $41. I also mentioned USC is favored heading on the road to Champaign, Illinois in that 11 a.m. kickoff as well by 6.5 points. You do get the Scott Frost game where they got Kansas State, UCF facing off on the road. Kansas State favored in that one. A game that we'll probably finish up on. We'll spend a little bit of time on it. Washington and Ohio State. I think this one could actually be a good game. And hear me out on it. Julian Sayin is a good quarterback. I don't think he scares anyone in a way that thinks you can't keep up with scoring on them. If you can deal with the run game and you can staunch them enough on the run, I don't think Julian Sayin is the type of guy that's going to light you up, with 5 touchdowns. He's not the most athletic quarterback to where he's going to run up and down the yard like Underwood can, where he really exposes you. If you're playing really good man-to-man coverage and all of a sudden you get too far, you keep up with your man downfield and someone breaks contain and here comes Underwood just all the way up the field. He doesn't have that. The run game is good, not super elite. Ohio State, to me, the best thing about them is just really sound football, conservative at times, and they just have their best strength is probably their defense. Other than that, I just don't think the offense is nothing to scoff at, but nothing to be trembling over. And it is at Washington. If it was at the shoe, there's no way in the world I'm talking about the game the way I am. But people forget all the time, Washington has the second longest winning home streak behind Georgia. There's a lot of other teams. If you were, a casual in football, I think most people would throw out 50 other teams before they said Washington. Maybe that's a reach, maybe 20. But it shows a lot that Washington, despite nobody talking about him all year, like seriously, I don't think anyone's really brought up Washington outside of DP. And I know DeMornay Pearson did as well. But otherwise, you're not hearing hardly anybody talk about him. They're sitting there pretty. They get to host the game at home. Their wins so far, and although not many because they already had that bye, they get a win over Colorado State, 38-21. They beat UC Davis, which they should, 70-10. And then they beat Washington State, which isn't a nobody. And they do it on the road. They expected to win, but they do it in a big way, 59-24. Now, the problem for them is they just have Ohio State, but the good thing is they're at home. They're both 3-0. And I believe this will be both of them opening up conference play. So I think this can be a really good opportunity for Washington. Tickets for this game, $113. I believe the spread's favored by Ohio State pretty significantly, as you can imagine it would be. As I just unfortunately lost it right there. Give me one sec. Currently 7.5, Ohio State. So yeah, as you mentioned, Ohio State by touchdown, a little over a touchdown. Both teams 3-0. The stats for this one, and this is where Washington, I think, is dangerous. Williams Jr. has got 778 through the air already. And Denzel Boston, really good wide receiver, and Jonah Coleman. I think the QB, running back, wide receiver combos are really good. They maybe have one of the best quarterbacks in the Big Ten. He doesn't throw the ball all over the yard like Dylan Raiola, but he is very, very accurate with it when asked to do so. So far on the year, he's 50 for 68. He's got 778 yards, completion percentage for 73.5%, averaging about 11.4. He's got a long of 60 on the year, 6 touchdowns, 0 interception, and he's only taken 6 sacks on the year so far. Coleman, the running back, 51 carries. He's got 347 yards, average of 6.8, and a long of 38. They also got a little bit of a two-headed snake there. Devin Williams Jr., he'll come in quite a bit as well. 34 carries, 220 yards while doing so, averaging 6.5. And with that being said, the game finished before I can even realize how quick it finished. We got through at the break because Nebraska volleyball won. That's a sweep. I didn't even get to the end of the first segment. Nebraska volleyball's good. They win it. They sweep Michigan 3-0. And it took them less than an hour and about 20 minutes to do so. So don't go anywhere. We'll throw it to break, and we'll have the volleyball postgame show coming up next.
When it comes to concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction doesn't stall. They go for the takedown. As Nebraska's full-service concrete contractor, they stay